All right, let's talk about aggression. There's a lot. I mean, this is something you deal with when you have bad genetics. Somebody's not properly sorting their birds like I do. They're not taking the time to handpick and give you a good breeding set of birds. And some people don't know what that difference is. There's a lot of people that raise quail. They're like, hey, they're just bulk raising them. Hey, here's you a breeding set. I've got you 5 or 6 females. Here's a male. You're good to go. They're gonna breed. They're gonna give you eggs, and they're gonna suck. The first thing you need to do when you go to get you some quail, research who you're getting them from. Find somebody that cares and is a good breeder. I see a lot of posts out there where it's very clear that somebody did not get a good breeding set of birds. Okay, it happens. It happens to a lot of people. Not everybody takes the time to sort, check, handle, and separate out and give you a good set of breeding birds. I do. I know what it's like to get some quail. They're a little bit mean. And I have taken a lot of time at several years to get my birds to where they want to be. And unfortunately, a lot of people that raise quail and breed them, they might have calm birds, they might have non-aggressive birds, but they don't take the time like I do to sort them out. I put a lot of extra time into them, and guess what? Most people don't. You know why? You know what? They're handling them, they're seeing, they're not fighting, you don't have these really mean birds, and that's good. They're developing a good line, but what about the people that aren't? They've got a hutch full of birds. They're letting them breed. They've got stacked pens. Hey, they put 7 ladies, put a male in there. They've got a breeding set. They're breeding them. They're laying eggs. They get fertile eggs. They hatch them. But are they really breeding them properly? You can put 7 ladies and a male in there, and they're not really going to be aggressive. When you put 15 to 18 ladies in a pen, you put 3 males in there, everybody gets along. That's a good breeding set of birds because you don't have a bunch of fighting and stuff going on. But you have to have the proper male to female ratio. When you handle their birds, are they like fighting you? Or are they picking at you? Or they're like pecking at you and they're just clawing and they're like deathly afraid of you, trying to get away from you? That's not a very calm bird. Now, you've got to find you a good breeder. There's a lot of great breeders. Large companies that do a fantastic job of breeding quail. And there's a lot of small-time people out there that breed quail as hobbies, like myself. I like to think I do a good job. That can give you great birds. But you're going to make mistakes. I've made a valuable mistake, and I've got a very seriously injured bird. Male to female ratio. This has to be accurate inside your breeding pen. You've got to have at least 5 to 7, maybe 8 females to 1 male. Now, let's talk about other forms. There's other types of aggression. There's breeding aggression. Not males fighting like this. If you have your male to female ratio correct, there's breeding aggression. Even when you have that correct, guess what? Breeding season starts, the male is just like doing his job. You're getting hair feathers, hair feathers, head feathers being removed. You're freaking out. But you know what? That's normal. That's just something that happens during breeding, you know? Now, if you start seeing ladies with like head feathers missing and then feathers missing all the way down their spine, whew, that girl needs a break. But if you start seeing this a lot, you know, what I do is I get some pick no more and I put it down the lady's back and heads. That will immediately stop that male from going after them and trying to continue to breed them. And you know what happens too? He's overbreeding because he is like marathon man. Okay, I mean, this guy is really going to town. I'll take some of that pick no more and I'll put it on his head. It's lavender. Yeah, I've actually had males calm down because of that. I'll actually take the male, I'll put him in my brooder, put him in a dark area for 4 or 5 days, or my grow out pen, which it's pretty dark, and I'll let him calm down. He needs to chill out. Then I'll put him back in, put some pick no more on the ladies. But that happens. They're breeding. You know, he's not being mean. He's doing his job. You know, he might be a little bit more vigorous, but that's part of it. You know, and people see that it's like mean aggression. No, that's breeding. What worries me though is when somebody starts getting injured. That's when I might get rid of a male. If he's breeding so much and he's being so aggressive that he is like yanking and he is grabbing skin on their head and he is physically injuring your ladies, you might want to find another male. Now, and the flip side of that, during breeding season, every once in a while I'll get a male that gets scalped. Why is that happening? Well, the ladies just want him to stay away from her, and they scalp him. They're picking at him. So what do? I put some pick no more on him, and you know, and every time I use that stuff, everything calms back down. It gets to normal. Everybody chills out. The breeding calms down a little bit. They're not being so aggressive. I've had great success with that. And normally this happens like right in springtime when everybody really starts ramping up and it's like breeding season for them. And my birds are outside. They get a break through winter. You know, so that's kind of normal if you're doing that. Then you kind of can get broody aggression. What is broody aggression? That is when you are got some of the lucky birds where they go broody. I've had several birds go broody through the year. And a lot of times it seems like they generally go broody on me kind of towards the end of breeding season, you know, when it gets like fall time. I have had them do it in the spring though. So what happens? You get a female, she gets really territorial. She takes over a little area and she starts gathering eggs. And she is an absolute butthead. I mean, she is like running after the birds, pecking at them, like grabbing them and like chasing them off. This happens, you know, and she can really be extra. But guess what? She's going broody. She's like becoming territorial over an area. So that's something you got to watch out for too. And let's talk about another lady. All right. You develop alphas in your quail pens. You know, I've got 3 breeding sets in each pen. And guess what? You're going to have like 1 lady and 1 female that's kind of the top dogs in there. You know, I'll step in my pen and it's always the female. She'll run up, like pop her little butt up, bow her head up at you with her chest to the ground and just do this, like you'll see her little mouth going. She's kind of squalling at you a little bit. And she'll run up and peck my shoes. It's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like 10,000 times your size. Well, she's being a little butthead. And guess what? I'll get in the pen and she'll do this to me. Then she'll run off and start pecking at the other birds. Just like, you know, puffing her chest out, bullying. And it's like, but you know what? She's not hurting anybody. She's not yanking head feathers. Nobody's getting scalped. She's just a dominant female. And I've seen this happen before too. It's okay. She's not injuring anybody. You know, even though she's being a little bit aggressive, it's not like she's being mean. I've seen that. I've taken that as normal behavior. I've seen that happen several times. And guess what? Everything's okay. So, you've really got to take the time to learn the bird's behavior. Something else to keep an eye out for if you've got an aggressive bird. What'll happen, kind of like with the broody female and with the, you know, you'll see her walking around and everybody knows, stay away from her. Like, you'll see them stressing out trying to get away from her. She's walking around, and because they can tell by her posture, like, y'all better stay away. But then, let's say you don't have a broody lady. You have a bird kind of running around and they're just randomly picking and just being mean. And they're taking feathers. And you will see that birds are like panicking, like panic. There's a different, you know, it's one thing when you've got the alpha lady and she's kind of pecking, you know, showing her, you know, hey, don't, you know, this is my hutch. And a mean bird, an aggressive bird. Those, when they're running around, I'm talking about, it's like a cow pen and everybody's just going crazy trying to get away. I mean, you'll see a level of stress in the birds that one bird is causing because they're aggressive, they're really bullying, and they're being mean. Those are the ones, first, I will put them in timeout. I'll separate them. I'll give them a break, just like I would a male that's kind of being a little extra. I'll give that lady a break. Then I'll reintroduce her. If she continues with that after being put in timeout for a week, and I put her back in there, then she's going to get removed. We're not keeping those genetics. Because I want to make sure it's not a broody thing. Because a lot of times when I've taken broody ladies and I put them by themselves, I've had some stop that behavior. They're still gathering their eggs, but they calm down. I'll take them back out of the grow out pen, put them back in there. Everything's fine. And you got to play with this stuff sometimes and figure out a good method that works for you on how to separate and reintroduce. Because they're not always mean birds. But if you've got that one running around, you've separated them, you put them back, and they immediately start that behavior again, don't keep them. They need to go to freezer count. I mean, immediately. Don't want to keep those genetics. I've done that several times with them. And then you know what you do? That next hatch, and you've got to grow out, you know, you've got some babies in the brooder. Find your calmest one in there, calmest lady, hand pick them, put them in there, introduce a new bird. And you know what? I've had a lot of great success doing that. And that's one way I've been able to develop a calmer, better natured bird. Now, again, this whole video is bound off the fact that I screwed up. My male to female ratio was way off, and I set up a bird to be injured. Now, unfortunately, there is something I am going to do. That guy heals up, which I think he's got a good shot of healing up. I'm going to take the other male out, put him in timeout. I'm going to introduce that male back in here. Why am I going to do that? I want to make sure that there's no ladies being aggressive in here. I've been watching them. Like, I can hear them right now. I'm hearing no scurrying. I don't hear any fighting. I don't have to watch them. You can hear them. Like, they'll start scurrying around, and you get a good ear to know when they're fighting. I've been out here all afternoon, and I've heard absolutely no aggression from this set of birds. So it definitely was a big mistake on my part. It happens. You know, if you're breeding non-sexable birds, stuff like this happens. I've been really lucky early on to learn and develop the skills on how to sort them. But you know what? That arrogance set me up to fail in this situation. And I should have went back, double checked my birds once I got these breeders set up, and made sure that my male to female ratio was set up properly. I'm going to give this guy a chance. We're going to come back and check on him here in a few days, and we're going to keep moving forward from that and learn from the mistake and double check like I normally do and try to make sure this never happens again. It will, but we're going to try our best. Guys, I hope this video gives you a little bit of different insight on quail aggression. What's normal aggression, which just comes with breeding the birds, and then keeping an eye out for what's bad aggression. It really is kind of hard to tell the difference between the two, especially when you've just started breeding quail. It does take a little bit of time, it takes a little experience, and you just got to take the time to learn their behavior and see the differences in them. I hope this video helps y'all out, especially if you're just getting into raising quail. I promise you they're not as mean and savage as people make them out to be. Getting the right set and, just defining and seeing that behavior that they're giving you really is a big key in being successful and being able to breed calmer, less aggressive birds in the future. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and I hope this helped you out.